Hello and welcome to the Edupedia world. In this tutorial, we are going to continue studying about linked list. In previous module, we have already studied what is linked list terminology, creating a linked list. We have studied about singly linked list and we have seen how to traverse a singly linked list. Now we are going to study how to insert elements into a singly linked list. Okay guys, so there are many ways you might want to insert a new node into a list. As the new first element, that is, you might want to insert a new element which is your first element. That means your list is empty. Alright. Second case is as a new last element. That means you want to insert the element in the end always. For example, if I have inserted 1, then 2, then next element I want to insert 3 will be after 2. Third case is before a given node. That means let's say if I am having two nodes in my linked list 1 and 2 and I want to insert 1 before 2, then I can specify I want to insert 3 but before 2. Another case can be after a given node. I can specify that I want to insert node 3 after node 1. So I want to insert 1, 3 and 2. So I can specify after a given node. Okay. Then I can also specify before a given value. Instead of saying a particular node, I can say before a particular given value, that is 1, and similarly after a given value that could also be 1. Okay. These are all the possible cases which differ slightly. So while inserting, we have to handle all these cases. Alright guys, now let's see how to do the insertion. So initially I'm going to start with the first case when you want to insert an element and so far your linked list doesn't contain any element. Okay, so for that what you do is you simply create node new equals to new node. Alright, this is how you write the code for creating a node. And then you might want to create a node with a constructor where you just pass your value, whatever value you want to store. For example, let's say I want to store a value as 1 and the node will be null. Initially, node will be null. So that means the next. So let me show you diagrammatically or let me show you the code wise how we just create a class node. Okay. So when I say class node, so my node will be a class. Okay. And this node class will contain two things. One will be your value that you want to store. That could be a int value or it could be a object value or it could be a string value. Just for simplicity, as of now, I'm taking int value, right? And second thing, it will contain another node inside it that is named to next. So this is how your node class is having its getter, setter. It will also be having its constructor from which it can store your int and nodes next. So for as of now, in currently I have created a node as new and in the constructor I have passed as 1 which is the value and null which is the next. Okay. Now when this node will be created, I'm going to, like store it and I'm going to save it. I'm going to check if my head. So head equals to null. Head equals to null means currently my node doesn't contain anything. So when I'm saying head equals to null, that means another class I'm having, let's say linked list. Inside this class, I have created a node head. Okay. So this is my node head. That's it. And when I do this insert, so this is my insert method. Just assume this to be an insert method. When I do that, so in this I'm actually creating a node with the value 1 that I have to pass. So this could be any value. As of now, I've taken it 1. And then I'm checking if head equals to null. Now if head is equals to null, then I'm making head equals to new. So now my head will point towards a new node. So how my node will be created? It will be created somehow like this. In my linked list as my first node, the value would be 1 and its next will point towards the null. Alright, so this is how my the first node is created. So this is the first case that we have handled. If your linked list is completely null, that is your head is null. So initially I have created this node as head, but it was not a fully initialized object. But now I have actually initialized head as new. So my head is pointing towards this node now. So this is my head now. Alright, so my initial first node is created. Now what I have to do is I have to insert more nodes. Let's say I want to insert another node which is 2 and I want to insert that as the last node. So now let me take the second scenario which says you have to insert a node at your end of the linked list. So that means I have to insert it just before my last node contains null. Assume I was having 3 nodes, 1, 2, and 3, and I have to insert 4. Then I have to traverse till my last node contains null and I have to insert after that. Now let's see how we do that. Okay, it was my first scenario, like if head equals to null. Else, if my head is not equals to null, then what I do is, in that case, if you are not able to get this code right now, it's okay because I will be writing this code completely again in Eclipse as a proper Java code. As of now, it's important to understand how things work. Okay. So now if your head is not null, that means head is already having element, which is our case now because head is having 1. Okay. This node inserted into that. Then I want to insert it in the end. So that means I want to traverse my linked list till I get my node equals to null. So in order to traverse a linked list, what we need to do is we need to create a temporary node as we have done before. Okay. So I'm creating my temporary node. Alright. And I have to point this temporary node to head. Then I have to write a while loop in which I'll keep on traversing till my temps next will become equals to null. So while my temps next is not equals to null, what it need to do is it need to keep on doing temp equals to temps next. So it needs to keep on traversing, it needs to make temp next till it gets the null. So when it gets the null, once it has reached, then like it has came out of a loop, then what I have to do, I have to make temp next equals to my new node equals to new. Alright. So this is how my node will be inserted at the end. So what I have actually done is I have actually created a temporary node. Now temporary node I have just created. Let's assume I have created a temporary node over here. And right now this is like I have used a default constructor. So I have not like stored any value inside temporary node. Then I have pointed temp to head. So that means my temp is pointing towards the head. That means it's pointing towards the first node. Now I'm doing while temps next is not equals to null, it will do temp equals to temps.next. So in this scenario, you can see that my temps next. What is temps next? It's actually null. So that means my this line won't be executed. Okay. So that means temp will remain over here, and then I'm after it has exited from the loop. I'm doing temps next equals to new. That means temps next. Temps next is this, right? I'm making this to point towards my new node. So my new node was, let's say I have assumed my new node was this, was having a value 2. Let's say I want to store 2. So now my temps next, which was earlier pointing towards null, will start pointing now towards my new. That means it will start pointing towards new. And my news next was already pointing towards null, right? Because this is something I have already created before. I made it to point towards null. You can see over here, like the new node, null, point towards null. Alright, so in this way, I have created a node. Now let's assume in the same scenario, I want to insert one more node. So in this case, what I will do is, I'll apply the same logic. I'll again initiate temp, which is initially pointing towards head, and then I'll run this loop while temps next is not equals to null. So is temps next equals to null? No, it is having 2, right? So that means my temp will start pointing towards this node now. Now over here it's my temp because while this is not equals to null, I'm doing temp equals to temps next. That means temp is pointing towards temps next, which was this node. Now temp is over here. Again it will check if temps next equals to null. Yeah, this time it is equal equals to null. So this loop will stop over here and it will come out of a loop. And now it will do temps next equals to new. So that means it will do your temps next. Temps next now is null. So now it is pointing towards a new. So new node will be, this is my new node, which is, let's say, 3. So earlier the temps next, which was pointing towards a null, will be removed from here, and now it will start pointing towards 3. Alright. This is how it will point, and now this is pointing towards null. So after your insert method has been completed, your temps will become eligible for GC, so it will be removed, and this will be your linked list. Okay, this is how we have inserted the elements in the end. So this was a scenario where we were inserting elements in the end of the linked list. So we have covered two scenarios: to insert the first element in the linked list and to insert the element in the end of the linked list. Now let's see how to insert an element in between the linked list. Okay, so where in between the linked list, the first scenario is after our node object value. So you can, I'm going to cover both the cases in this. Like after some particular node, let's say I want to insert a node 4, but I want to insert it after 2. Let's say I want to insert a node 4, but I want to insert it after 2. So this is like my node 4. And I want to insert it after 2. How will I do that? Well, for that, what I have to do is I have to traverse my linked list till I get the element after which I want to insert. So let's say I'll just take a temp which will point towards my head. Now I have to keep on traversing and moving this temp forward by using the same while loop while temp next. This time I won't check while temps next is not equals to null. Rather I'll check if temp's value or temp's node is not equals to the node that I'm searching. So I will check while temp is not equals to, or temp dot value is not equals to the value that I'm searching, which is 2. Okay, so it will keep on traversing. So temp initially is here when I search while. So I'll write something like that over here, while temp dot value is not equals to searched value. So searched value is 2. Okay, let's assume I'm just hard coding the search value as 2. So while temp dot value is not equals to 2, it has to do temp equals to temp dot next. So that means it has to keep on moving the temp forward. So it will make temp to point towards its next. So let's run our first case. Now is temp's value equals to 2? No, in this case it's 1. That means temp will point towards its next, which is the second node. So it is going to point towards the second node. Now temp has become over here. Now this is our temp. Now again it will check inside a while loop while is temp's value equals to 2? Yes, this time it's equals to 2. So it will go inside a while loop. So it will not go inside a while loop, it will just come out of a while loop. And now what it has to do is it has to insert it after 2. Alright. So that means it has to actually make temp's next, which is this, to point towards a new node. That means temp's next should point towards this node. And our new nodes next should point towards the node where temp was pointing. But which step will take this first? Let me just repeat my thing again. We cannot make temp's next to points towards new before you have actually pointed new's next towards temp's next. Why so? Because if you just point this, alright, that means this link has been removed. So all the remaining node will not have any link to point towards them. Now how this node will refer to this node? Because the link is gone. Now this link is pointing towards this. Therefore what we need to do is we need to firstly make a new node next point towards the node where temp's next is pointing. So currently temp's next is pointing towards this, right? So we have to make a new node next to point towards where temp next is pointing. So once this link is formed, after that we'll change the temps next. After that we'll make temps next to remove its link from here and form a link towards new. Alright. So this is step number 1, and this the link that was formed and it's removed, and this link is formed. This is step number 2. Okay. So how this will be done? So I'm just writing a sudo for these 2 steps. So what I have to do is I have to make new next to point towards where temp next was pointing. Okay. So that means new next to point to where temp next was pointing. That means force next will point to 3 because temp next was pointing towards 3. Once the step is completed, I go to the second step in which I have to make temp next to point to new. Okay. So this is how we complete the insertion after a particular node. Alright. So yeah, this is after our node or value. So this is our case 3. Now let's go to our last and the final case, which is before our node or a value. So now we have to insert before a particular node or before a particular value. Recreate my linked list again so that it will be better to view how it's working. Alright, so this is my linked list. Now I have to insert a node, which is my new node. I have to insert a node, let's say 5, and I have to insert it before the node 3. Okay. This is my node 5, and I have to insert it over here. Okay. Before the node 3. Now how to handle this case? So our fourth case is before a particular node or before a particular value. So how I will do that? So to do that, again, you have to traverse till you get the value that you have to, from which you have to insert it before. Okay. So that means I have to take a temp again. I have to make it point towards your head. And then I have to traverse a temp up till I get a value. But should I have to make temp point towards this? No, I have to insert it before. So I have to stop the temp before it. So what is the condition that I will write in while loop? The condition would be while temps next dot value is not equals to the value that we are searching. So just to write the pseudo code, I'll show you. So the condition for traversing the temp would be while temp next. Now note, I have taken temps next, means temps next currently is 2, right? Temps next value. So temps next dot value. So what is temp next value? Currently in temp is over here, so temps next is this and its value is 2. So currently temps next value is 2. That should not be equals to what the value that I'm searching, and currently I'm searching 3, so in my pseudocode I'm kind of hard coding it as of now. Okay, or you can simply write it as a searched value. Okay, for simplicity I have hard coded it. So while temp next dot value is not equals to 3, the temp will keep on moving. So that means temp will keep on moving. Temp equals to temp next. I will just use a common notation for my pseudocode. Okay, so instead of actually calling getter and setter, I'm using this annotation to point towards its next and then to point towards its value. So you see, I have pointed while temps next value. So temp next is this and its value is 2. Okay, while its value is not equals to 3. So then it will keep on doing temp equals to temps next. Now let's say it has done for the first time. Now initially temp was here. It has seen whether its next is value is 3. No, it's not 3. It's 2 currently. So that means temp will move here. And why I'm checking this instead of my previous condition? Because I have to stop temp before my actual value. I don't have to stop it at 3. I have to actually stop it at one value before 3. So therefore I have written this condition so that instead of checking temp's value not equals to 3, it is checking temp's next value should not be equals to 3. Alright. So it will check while temp's next value is not equal to 3. So now it has came to this position. Now, since my temp is over here, now I have to insert 5 after temp. Although I have to insert it, like before this particular node, but I'm stopping temp 1 before the actual node I have to insert. Now I have to perform the same operation that I have done before, where I have actually allocated new next to point towards temp's next. In previous, I was pointing it towards temps next. So again, I'm pointing it towards the temps next. So what is temps next? It is this element. So I'll point new to point new next to point towards temp next. This is my first step, and my second step is temp next to point towards new. So this will be my second step. So in this case, this link will be broken and my node will be inserted over here. So it will become 1, 2, 5, 3 and 4. Okay. So you see the difference between inserting after and inserting before is just to stop the temp before the actual element that you are searching for. And in after, stop the temp at that particular element. Okay, so we have stopped the temp before 3, right? By checking temp next dot value equals to 3 and traversing temp over here. And after that, I'm just going to write to point new next towards temp next and then point temp next to points towards new. Alright, so my node is inserted. So we have covered the 4 cases, or I would say all the cases of insertion in this video. We'll also be seeing how to do a deletion, and then we'll also be trying the program of doing this operation in a linked list. Alright guys, thank you. Let's meet in the next module where we'll be studying about the deletion in a linked list. Thank you very much.